Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Vakha Hakudash. Giving double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations into the hopeful elect scattered abroad. It's your brother Tazapanya Banyamyan of the Sons of Yasha Allah, Slakia. The Sons of Yasha Allah camp here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. It's going to be a quick hit. As you can see, the topic, it says the day of the Lord. Okay? Because you have a lot of misconceptions, specifically in the harlot house, known as, the Christian church, okay, that it's going to be some blissful thing, But like GMS, the Great Millstone, and the Lycan camps that share the same doctrine, the true 100% doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which we don't look to no private interpretation that can only be discerned through the Spirit, all right? We understand by studying the scriptures, searching the scriptures like the Church of Berea, okay? So when we are out there ushering in, heralding, the day of the Lord, is because in the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 1, it says, measure the time thou diligently, all right? And the measuring tool would be the scriptures. So there's signs in the scriptures, which is prophecies that have been told to us prior to them happening in order for us to be fully prepared, really mentally, of what's to happen. I was just looking at, some archives on, social media or whatever, and I remember seeing in March, I was kind of bugging out for the premium gas was $4.50, and then you look now, it's a whole dollar more in 2 months, right? And it's going to get to maybe a whole dollar or $2 more in the next, 2 months or less. These things becoming increasing, meaning, these prophecies, and really the sorrows increasing, because Yahushua said this is the beginning of sorrows, because we're able to see everything that's going on right now. All right. So the day of the Lord is what? According to the scripture. Let's get the book of Amos, chapter 5. We're going to start at verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai. What does woe mean? Woe means grievance, to grieve, from mass destruction. All right, so it's saying, a destruction, a heavy grievance, a grieving spirit, mourning unto them that, specifically talking about the Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, all right, that desire the day of the Lord, right, because they are not in the scriptures understanding truly what the day of the Lord is on and how to prepare themselves for it. It goes on to read, to what end is it for you? You see? So this is a rhetorical question, because the Most High knows every man's lot. So the end for his elect is going to be salvation. All right? But the end for the 2/3 is going to be death after pain. Right? Continuing on, the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. You see? For both the elect and the 2/3, because we have to go through what? Jacob's trouble. All right? Great tribulation, the hour of temptation, so on and so forth. Right now, which people don't understand or even look to see what happens on the world stage, you have Sweden and Finland, and even Turkey was backing it, joining NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. What is NATO? It's a group of countries that make a pact to so-called, be with each other if an opposing force or country fights them, and then everybody else joins war. It goes into nuclear weapons usage and building, so on and so forth. Now, NATO is the beast, all right, in the book of Revelation. Okay, and the great whore that rideth the beast is America. Okay, so when, which we're already in right now, World War III, but when it's finalized, all right, which is what, intercontinental ballistic missiles equipped with multiple thermonuclear warheads that's going to destroy completely, utterly America, which is Babylon the Great, according to prophecy. That is the day of the Lord. And in the midst of that, as those missiles flying, the chariots is going to fly too and save the elect. All right, which is what, uh, 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 putting out them tractor beams and beaming up, into what people would call, that don't know, UFOs, but which are really the chariots of Israel. All right, great mountain, a scroll, a roll, flying roll. All right, clouds, right, a wheel in a wheel. Okay, so these are the type of things that is coming, and all of that's not going to come until what, the the microchip, all right, is mandated pursuant to Revelation chapter 13, verse 6. So I just wanted to prove, matter of fact, look, I'll keep reading. I'll keep reading. Because if I jump down to verse 20, it says, shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? So what it's saying by being dark is that, because when you go into the New Testament, it says that the sun shall be darkened, right, and give no, and the moon shall turn into blood, right. Now these are metaphors. Well, the moon is a metaphor for the mass death that's about to come, all right, as well as the sun turning into darkness because the mushroom clouds is going to completely cover the heavens. Okay, so what you would call what, your nuclear fallout. Okay, and this is why, because they got a movie called The Sum of All Fears, right? We're talking about weapons, real weapons of mass destruction. If you go into the 1950s, 80,000 people, all right, was killed in an instant in the 1950s with the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Well, really Nagasaki. Hiroshima was of a greater number that I'll have to, do more research on. I don't know about heart, but I did all that research back in the day. So imagine the technological advances, what, 70 years, right? Because we're talking about hypersonic missiles that go, you know, almost, into the ozone layer, right? To not be detected by radar, but some of them move supersonic where don't even be detected by anti-missile defense systems. All right, which is going to destroy this place, man. And if you live in America, there is no possible way to get out of it. Especially Jake, because Jake got no money for no doomsday bunker to for money to go live outside of America. And even if you did move outside of America, the curses is still gonna follow you because you're an Israelite. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68 says what? And you shall go into Egypt again with ships. By the way, you shall be bondmen and bondwomen. So it's also talking about you women too, right? And no man shall buy you. What does that mean? No man shall redeem you, right? Bring you out of captivity, bring you out of those curses. So no matter where you go, all right, you like the songs say, rich nigga, poor nigga, still nigga. You know what I mean? Whether you know, regular nigga, whether you uh Spanish speaking nigga, whether you a featherhead nigga, all right, you still gonna be looked the same. You no matter where you at on the planet. All right. So just to prove that, going into the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, which was written by scholars, Edomite scholars, right? Edomites are your so-called Caucasian race. All right. Um, that that's their true nationality. which they're really red people and not white people. There is no person on the planet, all right, that is white or is black. Those are, social political constructs invented in the year 1681, all right, for a supremacist systematic oppression to be established later on down the line, because people don't truly know who they are. There's a covering cast on all nations. But when we go into the day of the Lord in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, it says an eschatological term. So, what is eschatological or eschatology? All right, when you look it up, it comes from the Latin. Matter of fact, I got it in the Greek. No, in the etymology from 1834, from Latinized form of Greek eschatos, last, furthest, uttermost, extreme, most remote in time, space, degree. Suffix from eggs, out, ology. So basically, it's a theological term referring to last, a space in the last. So of the last days, a study of what's to come in the last days, right? So the day of the Lord is a term that is used in the scriptures that is referring to a space of time, all right, at the when Yahweh shall come back, which is going to read right here, right? An eschatological term referring to the consummation of Yahweh's kingdom and triumph over his foes. See, so you would have to know foe means enemy. Who's the Most High's enemy, right? And I'll get a scripture real quick, the book of Psalms, 83. And it reads, starting at the top, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O Yahweh. And that's the spirit that we in, man. We in captivity and we tired of dealing with all of the bullshit that goes on, especially with these other nationalities and even some of our own people, 2/3 of our own people. All right, so we know that we ain't got no power, but we worship the power that created heaven and earth, man, because that's what God means. God means power. When you go into it, Alahayim, which is really plural, and it means powers. All right, Allah means power. All right, which Arabic, all right, is a daughter language of Hebrew. Hebrew was the first heavenly, and it's a heavenly language, but the first language created. Even the alphabet, the English alphabet, all right, if you do your research, originates from Hebrew. Ibar. Verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult. See, so the Most High has enemies, man. The Most High don't love everybody. You can read that in Malachi chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. You can read that in Romans 9. All right, he actually hates people, all right, which would be the Edomites, these so-called Caucasians, all right, the scourge, the cancer of the earth, man, and he created them for that purpose, all right, because nobody can say, or should I say this, the clay can, like it's, uses in Romans 9, the clay cannot say to the potter, why hast thou made me thus? You see what I'm saying? He could do what he wills because he is the Father. He is Yahweh. He exists. Continuing on. And they that hate thee, see? So he hates them that hate thee, and he loves them that love him, right? And they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. See, that lifting up thy head is referred to a proud look. And in Proverbs, it says, 7 things I hate. You know what I mean? 6 things I hate, 7, roughly paraphrasing, and a proud look is one of them, right? And when you go to Obadiah, which is a prophecy against Esau, Edom, it talks about um, their pride, man, because they're the most prideful nation upon the face of the planet Earth, man. All right, and in the book of Proverbs as well, it says, "Pride goeth before a fall," man. All right, this is why you got to be humble, because the scripture does say, "The meek shall inherit the earth." Right? Meek is synonymous for humility. Okay, how you going to be proud in this kingdom, talking to you so-called Negro, Latino, and the Native Americans, and you ain't got shit? All right, you have no power, especially you so-called Negro, Latino, Native American men, because to a certain degree, the women of all nations, but even the women of our nation, all right, they have a certain type of it's fraudulent, but a certain type of power in this system, because this is a queendom, and it's really going into the Willie Lynch uh, 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 letter on separating the man and the woman and really raising up the woman, because she's not the leader. And Isaiah 3 talks about that. Jeremiah talks about that. I've created a new thing in the earth, for a woman shall compass a man. You see? In Isaiah 3, it talks about, um, what's the name? Uh, uh, Children are your oppressors, and your women lead you to err, to error, right? And your leaders cause you to go astray, all right? Because a man is supposed to be leading, all right? Going back to Psalms 83, verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, right? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. This is why we don't know who we are. Everybody else know who we are, but we don't, which was really part of the prophecy. The Most High made us, discontinue thine heritage, forget where we came from, you know. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, you see, and it goes on. Ishmaelites, Moab, Hagarenes, Gabal, Ammon. But the point is specifically talking about these Edomites right here. All right. So the Most High does have enemies. All right. And when Yahweh shall come back, he's going to destroy his enemies. This is why it says in Isaiah, all right, who is he that cometh from Basra with his garments dyed in blood? Right? It's poetically speaking, that he's going to do a lot of killing, man. All right. This is why, you know, trying to disannul or disprove the scriptures, you know, going on just a whole bunch of things, trying to you know have people in a disbelief. All right, but they can't stop it, because the word doesn't go out void, man. All right, the Israelite, especially this truth, is overwhelming, especially to the elite, because a lot of people are waking up, man. A couple years ago, you was telling people about Israelites, they ain't know nothing about it. Now all of a sudden, a lot of people starting to know that they're Israelites, because this is part of the prophecy anyway. And Baruch, it says, um, in thy captivities thou shalt remember thyself. You see what I'm saying? So going back into this Bible dictionary that Edomite scholars wrote, so they know, right, that the day of the Lord is when he's going to destroy his enemies, and it goes on to read, and deliverance of his people. Who are the Father's people? The Israelites. You see? So they know. All right? And you can't just become an Israelite. This is not a conversion. All right? There is no spiritual Israel. There is no supersessionism, replacement theology that, Christians try to do. Okay? It's a thing, it's a bloodline. All right, it's a descendancy, it's a heritage. All right, we are descendants of your father, because you are who your father is. We know through the Spirit, that beareth witness, that our father eventually go back to one of the 12 sons of Jacob, which is Israel, which is a descendant of Isaac, which is a descendant of Abraham. Okay, it begins at the second coming of who? Yahweh Shai, and will include the final judgment. Yeah. All right. What's the final judgment? All right. Fully destroying this place, Babylon. All right. And setting up his kingdom. Right. It will remove class distinction, abolish sins, and will be accompanied by social calamities and physical cataclysm. Now, that removing class distinction is off, because even Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7, verse 6 says that, for you are talking to the Israelites, you are a holy people, who are set above all people upon the face of the earth. So the highest class of people are the Israelites. You see, but so they try to mix a little of that universalism in there to try to throw people off and all that. But ones that are fully versed in the scriptures is going to be able to understand. All right. So yeah, and abolish sins. Well, the Israelites are the only ones that are going to receive everlasting life. They're going to have new bodies, spiritual bodies, going to be gods upon the earth. All right, how this society would call superpowers. All right, but it's really spiritual power. And we're going to have spiritual power, Lord willing, if we get new bodies in the kingdom. All right. As soon as you come into them chariots, all right, this old body is going to be, done away with, and you're going to be changed in an instant, like Paul wrote in the book of Thessalonians. Okay. Um, and other people that don't have, but other nations, the heathen, they're not going to have, um, what's the name, spiritual bodies that with the laws, statutes, commandments already downloaded in them. All right. So with that, they're going to go off. They're going to sin. So when it says abolish sin, because we're going to be judges, right, priests of the earth. So we're going to be going places, teaching them, really with a rod of iron. All right, all right, to worship the Most High correctly, man. All right, they're going to be going through a lot of hell because all the heathen nations, specifically Esau, Edom, these so-called Caucasians, is going into slavery according to the scriptures. Revelation chapter 13, verse 9 and 10. He who leadeth in the captivity shall go within the captivity. He who killeth with the sword shall die by the sword. A lot of people heard that. You kill with the sword, you die by the sword, but they don't know that it comes from the scriptures. And they like to forget the part that comes in front of it. This is why Yahushua said, he who hath an ear, let him hear. What does that mean? Everybody got ears. They can hear, but they don't listen. You see? There's no comprehension. And it's really talking about a spiritual hearing. All right. So everybody that put the Israelites into slavery, they're going into slavery. Why? Because the Most High, our power is a just God, a just power, real justice, real reparations. You see? You're going to reap what you sow. Karma is a bitch. All right? And we're getting the good end of the stick this time. All right? We didn't got double of judgment, of punishment from the Most High, according to the scriptures. All right? So it goes on to say will be accompanied by social calamities. Yeah, uproars of the people. It talks about that in Second Esdras, and physical cataclysms. Right. Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. All right. Wars and rumors of wars. All right. It will include the millennial judgment. All right. Because, even though the kingdom gonna last forever for 1,000 years, we're gonna be, judging these people. And then eventually all of Esau, Edom is gonna die out. We're gonna, put them to death according to Obadiah 1 and 18. And the rest of the kingdoms is gonna be our tributaries in the respective lands that Yahweh Shah gives them. And culminate in the new heaven and the new earth. Right, because all of the wickedness has been done in this earth, the earth has to be, reestablished. Right? The water gotta get clean, the food gotta the plant life and everything, all of that's gotta be, purified. So there's gonna they this is what the slaves are gonna be doing. All right, they're gonna be making this place Eden all over again, like it was in the beginning, because Eden means paradise. That's what the earth was. All right, and he placed the sons of the Most High, which are eventually was called the Israelites, the people that he dealt with, in the Garden of Eden. All right, which is the land that was given unto us, man. All right, what people know as the land of Israel, or the land of Canaan. All right, which is, Abraham's, inheritance was really from the river of Egypt, all the way unto the great river Euphrates. All right, but I'm gonna leave it at that, because really when I was seeing with this whole NATO thing, things about to pop off very, very swiftly, man. All right, so if we know that the war drum, and I see something about the Euphrates drying up, and that's a part of the scriptures, because all the armies have to go into the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat, which is the valley of the Lord's decision, because the Lord is deciding and is going to plead, meaning judge all these other nations, man, and all that is going to be destroyed, with fire over there as well. With all these other armies, man, there's going to be a lot of a loss of life, you know. So, with that, Lord willing, is edifying to the elect. Until the next time, I say shalom.